Hello, everyone. It's Annalie Stephen from SOI. We're right at the top of the hour, and we have a full webinar today. So I'm going to get things started. We're going to be going over the year-end report today. Sam is going to be walking us through the Qualtrics side of the report, and then I'm going to talk about the budget report. And then we have Annelies from Special Olympics Belgium, who's going to be talking about some of the exciting work that they've been doing, engaging partners and universities. And so just before we get started, wanted to remind everyone of a few upcoming deadlines. If you are part of the group that started work in 2017, 2018, or starting in just 2017, 2018, you have a reapplication for funding that's due to us, and that is a Word document that you need to get signed by your CEO or program president and return to us, and also an Excel file that is your budget. And those are due at the end of this week. And then, as we're going to cover today, your year-end report is also on the horizon, and that's due on April 15th. And so we hope that you'll be able to get all of that into us on time. That makes things a lot more easy. So I'm going to turn it over to Sam, who's going to walk us through some of the highlights of the year-end report, but knowing that most of you, if not all of you, have already seen the reporting template and did this at the mid-year. So we're hoping it's just a quick refresh. So Sam, I'll turn it over to you.
Good morning, everybody. All right, so as Annalie said, I'm just going to recap a lot of what you guys have already gone through and just kind of highlight some changes that we've done so far. So this is kind of the agenda. We're going to go through Dropbox a little bit, kind of recap some of the things and issues that people were having at the mid-year with Dropbox. We'll go through the event calendar a little more thoroughly. We'll transition into some of the changes in Qualtrics, and then we'll just recap with the important dates and deadlines at the end. So I just want to say thank you for everyone for their patience and hard work submitting these reports. I know we had some trouble at the mid-year and you guys just kind of rolled with it. So I really appreciate all the patience and hard work that you have there. With the mid-year metrics and the stories that you guys provided, we were able to report on time to our funders and partners, and it was so well received, and they really look forward to hearing more of everyone's success and progress. So again, just really thank you for all the time and energy you put into the reporting. If you have any questions during this, please put it into the chat box as per usual, and Annalie will reach out and ask the question. So as a brief reminder, we use this report to measure your program's progress towards becoming a healthy community. Criteria 1 and 2 are program-wide, and criteria 3 through 6 hone in on your geographic focus area. Our goal is 100 healthy communities by 2020, and each reporting period gets us closer to that goal. Meeting criteria isn't the only way of reaching improved health for athletes, so we have open-ended questions on this report that really help us see your progress through stories and photos. So please include all details that you have. We really love the stories as well to kind of hear the impact that you guys have. Are there any questions or clarification anyone wants on the criteria right now?
No questions have come in yet, Sam.
Cool. All right. So Dropbox, if you still do not have access to your Dropbox folder, please let your RAM know. They'll be able to give you access. And if you have trouble logging in, also reach out and they can help you. The main folders that we'll be using are budget reporting and event calendar. If you have any other resources that you want to share, such as photos, the tracking tools that you guys come up with, any other data, there's also folders in here to put those. Dropbox will be the main source of collecting all the documents outside the Qualtrics report. So again, if you don't have access, let's fix that as soon as possible. The budget folder, Annalie will talk to you about this later on. The reporting folder has your 17 end of year report, your mid-year report from 2018, and your report cards. So this helps you, it's just meant to help you fill out your end of year report in Qualtrics by having your previous copies available as a reference. The event calendar we're going to spend a little more time on today. So please feel free to open your event calendar and follow along as we go. We have not updated the event calendars yet. Some have been, but not all of them are. So you'll see some of your information from the mid-year, and there will be an updated end-of-year version soon. So please bear with us on that. We're still working on it. Okay. Can everyone see my screen still, or is it still showing the slideshow?
We're still seeing the slides.
Let me, how about now?
Now we see your
Dropbox?
internet. Yep, we're in
Awesome.
Dropbox.
Okay. So event calendars will be filled in based on events SOI has been notified about through your reports in Qualtrics, your data entry into Haas, and the RAMs. So please update with all the information that you have and correct any information that is inaccurate that we've put in. The red highlights indicate the area that we need to be filled out because we don't
actually, Sam, what we're seeing is the screen that says just the regular Dropbox folder for Alaska. Yeah. Okay, yeah. We're not seeing an actual. Yep.
Yeah, I'll transition into it. But if we don't have any information, just please fill out what's missing. Okay, so in the Dropbox, when you log in, this should be what you see. Again, all the other folders are here, but I wanted to walk through being able to edit your event calendar in Dropbox. So you click on your event calendar. You can download a copy as well. It makes it a little more difficult to save it again, or you will have to re-upload it into Dropbox. But there's a real simple way. If you click Open With, and then Microsoft Excel Online, this allows you to edit in browser. So you can make your changes here without having to download a copy. It also auto saves, and you can tell by up here there it says saved. And then that way, if you make any changes, you don't have to worry about hitting the save button 6 times and making sure that it saves. So the other way to do it is to save and return to Dropbox, and that'll make sure anything that you've changed saves. Okay. Everybody see our Excel document now?
Yes.
Okay. So in order for us to determine your status for criteria 1 through 4, we need you to tell us about all the events that you've held in your program since April 1st of 2018 until now, through March 31st, that is. Again, you can edit this on Dropbox Online like I just showed you, or you can save a copy into your Dropbox that you have been using. Since most of this is a review, I'm just only going to touch on a few updates that we've changed. The first is in the grant number, we're going to ask that you put self-funded if your event is self-funded. Usually, or previously, we just asked for your grant number, but it would be really helpful to help differentiate and know that whether or not you're receiving a capacity grant. So please place self-funded if your event is self-funded, or again, the grant number. The geographic focus area, this information is critical to being able to establish your criteria 3 status, and this will be pre-filled if we have the information. If not, it'll be red highlighted, like down here. When you click in it, this is now a yes or no column, so you can simply put it in and it'll change the color as well, so that way you don't have to go back through and change the highlighting. So please make sure you fill out the Healthy Communities focus area. Start and end dates, just if you could please use month, date, year format for consistency, that would be really helpful for us on our end. We've slightly changed the new discipline or new location. It used to be indicating if it was a new discipline or new location, but now you only have to indicate a yes or a no, and the yes signifies that this event was either a new discipline or new location for healthy athletes for your program. And this information allows us to show the ways in which Healthy Athletes is growing and reaching new people. So again, it's pre-filled, it's a yes or no. All these updates will be on your event calendars, and we'll notify you when all these updates have been changed on your event calendar. With the cash and VIK total from your partners or your program that was used to support this event, you should not include volunteer time in this total. If your program used law enforcement torch run funds to support your Healthy Athlete event, or a partner donated space for the Healthy Athlete event, you would include that here. If you have questions about calculating your VIK for your Healthy Athletes event, please reach out to your RAM. The SOI approved budget. This is the budget that was approved from SOI, together with the column for cash and VIK. It should equal the total cost of holding this event. If it was self-funded, you would just simply put 0 so that we know that, again, it confirms it was self-funded and that you guys provided the total cost for this event. If it is part of a capacity grant, please put in the total budget. This information on VIK and cash from your program and your partners is necessary to accurately measure your Criteria 2 status. So with the approved budget as well, please be sure to update this information if it's missing or incorrect. The data entry, again, we've changed it to be a yes or no. And just to make it simpler for you guys, please fill out. We'll try our best to pre-populate it based on things that have been submitted. We apologize that we are still backlogged on data entry. There has been a lot of progress made, but we're still working on it. So if you have your forms sent, if you have sent your forms to us and you don't see the screenings listed here, this is likely why. Also, because we have this backlog, you'll need to make sure you have a tracking confirmation for when you send the forms to SOI. This will help us with the finance team to clear your program for meeting the screenings data entry requirement. Having these items in the Healthy Communities event calendar helps us speed up the process with finance to be able to clear your program and distribute the funding quicker. So again, if all of it was self-funded, switching back to the budget, please put $0. If not, it will remain red, so that way we don't know if that's missing information or anything along those lines. So if it's 0, just please put in a 0. The athlete screening numbers, we had a slight change. We used to have columns for both healthy athlete screenings and athletes 8+, and then young athlete screenings. We've combined these two, and they should include screenings for any athlete screened, including those under age 8 who participated in young athletes. However, it should not include partners without ID or unified young athletes who were screened. And again, your clinical volunteer and student volunteers are there. Do we have any questions at this time?
There's nothing in the chat box yet, but just a reminder to everyone, if you have any questions about reporting, to please enter them into the group chat, and we will bring them up for everyone to hear and for Sam to answer. But go ahead, Sam. Okay.
And we asked just one more thing, that you bold anything of the pre-existing information that we filled in. This way we can know if you've updated any of the information. So if I had changed these dates, then I would go back in and bold it. And that way it notifies us that something has changed beyond filling in missing information. We recommend using the online editing tool like I showed earlier, because it will automatically save any changes that you do. However, if you downloaded a copy, please double check to make sure that it's saved in the Dropbox folder and not on your desktop. I can't tell you how many times I've done that, so just please make sure it's in the Dropbox folder. Can you see the, okay,
Yep, back.
Cool. All right, switching gears into Qualtrics. The year-end report link comes from your RAM. These links are specific to your program because the information from your mid-year will be pre-populated from the submission at the mid-year report. So if you go to the Healthy Communities resource page and use that link, it'll give you a blank copy and your mid-year metrics will not be in there. So please make sure you use the link from your RAM. We'll be sending those out by the 25th of March, and they'll be able to pass those along to you. For the most part, the questions are the same. We have a few that were moved around, but again, in addition to all the numbers that we have, it's really helpful to have the stories about your work and photos and everything along those lines. It really gives rich context for the impact that you guys are having, and always helpful to share with our funders and partners to show the impact. So please be sure to fill in the open-ended questions with as much detail as possible. As I like to say, specific is terrific.
Sam, we've had a question that's come through from Faith. She says, can you explain how indicating yes or no indicates the growth of the Healthy Athlete program? And so Faith, this is the yes, no in that column is whether that particular type of Healthy Athlete screening is being offered in a new location in the program, or if it's the first time that the program is offering the discipline. So for example, if the program has recently added Strong Minds for the first time, and this is the first time Special Olympics in Indiana has ever offered Strong Minds, they would put yes into that box. That would let us know that they've grown the types of programming that they offer. The other type of growth that we like to see with Healthy Athletes is that it's not just happening at the same national games every year, but that it's growing into the local community and being offered in new places where athletes who maybe hadn't had a chance to come to Healthy Athletes before are able to participate. So if Special Smiles has only ever been offered at a national games and a program now offers it at a local soccer competition, we want them to say, yes, that's the first time that's happened in that location, and that shows us the growth of the program. Does that answer your question?
Sí.
All right, great.
Aquí donde dice, dele zoom aquí, no le di en el link, sino donde dice aquí, en inglés.
All right, Sam. If anyone has any other questions, please type them into the box. We'll be happy to answer.
Thank you for that question. All right. So the estimated percent of athletes with improved access or with access to improved health in your geographic focus area, this question we've both expanded with some details as well as moved it. Before it was very early on in the Qualtrics report, but now it has been moved to the information about criteria 6. So it's still there, it's just moved into a different spot. So we gave a little more context and details so how you can calculate the percentage. So in this example, the program is reaching 300 athletes who are getting improved access to health through better follow-up care. An additional 155 are engaged in ongoing wellness opportunities, and 75 additional athletes are active as health leaders who advocate for inclusive health with various community members. So this represents a total of 530 people out of your focus area size of, for example, 2,000 athletes. So that would come out to 26.5% with improved access to health. Are there any questions with that?
I just wanted to jump in. This is Lindsay. This question has been really useful in the mid-year report. We were able to pull the numbers from everybody to share a really high-level impact number with our partners, and so we're asking it again. I just want to emphasize that ultimately we'd like you to think about, how you would categorize this. We're giving this example so that you can see one possible way of thinking about how you would estimate that number, but ultimately your program may estimate it in a different way, and that's fine. The idea of this question is to just ask you all as the program, since you know best what's happening in your program, when you look across everything that you're doing, what do you think the impact is? If you had to select a number of your athletes who now have access to improved health, what do you think that number is? And so just to reiterate that the example is one way to do that, but you don't need to follow that same exact formula. You can design your own formula that best captures your impact. So I just wanted to make sure that was really clear that we're looking for your specific perception.
Thanks, Lindsay. If there are any other questions on that, please don't hesitate to write it in the box. So partners, when you open the report, all the partners that you listed in the mid-year will be here. If you don't have any partners to add or anything to change, just please review the information that's already there from the mid-year. If you have partners to add or remove, you'll have to return to the question before that says how many partners have supported your health work, either through their support of healthy athletes, follow-up care, or health and wellness opportunities. You will have to change that number in order to get a different amount of partners listed in the next question. Since we tried to make it simple in Qualtrics so that the number you indicate here is how many rows shows up on the next page, it then makes you have to change it in order to add any. So for example, if you have 12 partners from the mid-year report, but you have 4 new partners to add, you would have to change the number to 16 because you are adding on to the 12 that you already have. If you only type 4, it will reduce how many partners you have listed to 4. So again, you're adding on to the partners that you already have. So the total amount, again, is 60 that you can report within Qualtrics. So if you have over 60 partners, we have an Excel template for you to use, but please request that partners Excel template from your RAM. So this is just a big reminder to go through very thoroughly and carefully because your mid-year answers and metrics are already there. If you miss updating a number, Qualtrics will allow you to proceed because the answer isn't blank since you completed it at the mid-year. So as a result, we can't tell on our end if there is no update or that you missed it and it does need to be updated. So the numbers we have are the numbers that we will use and go forward with. So please just go slowly and make sure you update everything that you have updates for. Like the mid-year, you'll be able to download your response at the end. If for some reason it doesn't work, please reach out and we can send you the PDF copy of your report. And let us know if you have any questions about Qualtrics.
We did have one question come in. Can you remind us where the link to Dropbox is? Is it emailed to us or is it on the resources page? And so the Dropbox link is unique for each program. So this would have been emailed to you either at the mid-year report, or if we didn't quite get that straightened out for you, it would have come maybe sometime in the last week or in the last couple of months. However, if you have a Dropbox account, you should be able to go into it and see all the files that have been shared with you, and your folder will be in there. If you run into challenges finding the Dropbox folder, don't spend a lot of time on it. Just reach out to your regional health manager, and they will be able to resend the link. So if you're struggling to find it, just let us know.
Thanks, Annalie. So important dates and deadlines. Again, just a reminder that you're reporting on all activities from April 1st, 2018 to March 31st of 2019. The deadline for all submissions is April 15th. However, we do understand that things come up and we are willing to work with you if for some reason April 15th is not doable, but we need to know immediately so that we can prepare for any of these delays. We do our best to put all of the information together by the end of May, early June for our partners and funders, so that's why we ask everyone to turn in the report by April 15th, in addition to getting your funding out for next year as soon as possible. So again, the link will come from your RAM. It's specific to your program, and it'll be provided no later than March 25th. Do we have any questions or anything at this time?
No other questions have come in yet.
Awesome. So please feel free to email any of these 3 emails, but if you want to reach out directly about Qualtrics, I usually take care of any troubleshooting issues, so sangle@specialolympics.org, but any of these emails will be easy to contact us. So again, thank you, and let us know if you have any questions or need any help.
Great, thanks Sam. I'm going to walk everybody through the budget side of the report right now, but if you have more questions that as we go along, please type them into the chat box and we will answer them. I'm actually seeing that we may have a question right now. So while I get this slide up on the screen, I will switch over to chat and see. Let's see. Well, maybe Sam or Adam, could you look and see what the question was that just came in?
Can you hear me, Annalyn?
I can, Adam. Yes.
It says, it's from Faith. It says, please explain how indicating yes or no shows the growth of the Healthy Athlete program.
Oh, we had that question already.
So okay. Then the only other one is Vilma just sent one in, said, can you repeat the dates for sending the report in?
Yeah, Sam, can you run us through those dates?
Yeah, can you hear me still?
Yeah, and Adam, I think we might be getting an echo on your line. If you can mute again.
I think that was our line.
Okay.
With Lindsay.
Oh, okay.
Again, so the date is April 15th. And if you, for some reason, need an extension or are having trouble, please reach out immediately. And the links for the Qualtrics report will be sent out no later than March 25th.
Great, thank you. So in addition to what Sam has walked through with the Excel file for your Healthy Athlete events in Dropbox and the Qualtrics link, because we're at the end of the year, we're also going to need a budget report from each program. So I want to walk you through this briefly because I know we don't require this at the mid-year. So for some of you, this is the first time that you are doing this report. So as Sam just mentioned, all the reporting is due on the 15th of April. This is new this year, rather than emailing your budget report to your regional health manager, you're going to upload it to your Dropbox folder. So that folder that Sam showed earlier that had a number of different subfolders, one of them is your budget, and you will upload your document there. Also, it couldn't hurt to send your regional health manager an email and let them know that you put it in there so that we know to look. There's 2 parts of the budget report. There's the financial report, which is an Excel spreadsheet, and then we need copies of your receipts, and that's best if you upload it, if you combine all of them into a single PDF document and upload them directly into Dropbox. So the financial report is an Excel spreadsheet that was emailed from your regional health manager at the start of the grant year along with your award letter. I'm going to walk you through it just so that you know what these look like. It should look something like this with your grant award at the top, the name of your program, and then Healthy Communities financial report template. The first tab is the guidelines, which is always helpful to review. So just what we require in terms of reporting. There's a couple of notes for international programs. If you have provided any of your meals per diem, meaning you've just provided volunteers with a set amount, there is a place for you. This is something that you could have printed out for them to sign to say that they had received a meal. But the main place there you want to be looking is your budget report. So it's going to have your program name. You're going to enter in the date of the report. And then here's what you were, this is Colorado's, they requested salary and the Golisano Award. So what you're going to do here, you don't need to enter details. You're just going to enter the actual expense. So this, they were requested $60,000. Let's say they underspent. They only spent $50,000. It's going to auto-calculate this variance to say that they have $10,000 left in their budget. Now, you're allowed to move up to 10% of your budget without permission from us. So in this case, they that would be enough that they could still move it. Let's see, they needed to have $10,000 in supplies. That's going to say it was $10,000 over budget. But those are going to cancel each other out. You'll see there's just the $2,000 left from the Golisano Award, and that's going to zero their budget out. If you have anything left at the end of the year in this variance, we're going to ask that you return those funds to us. That's not our preference. We prefer that you spend your funds as you planned. But if you do have surplus, that can be returned to us at the end of the year. So the other thing that you should look at is your value in kind. And this is where you'll tell us about the matching dollars that you had this year. You can include in here in company name your program name as well. So Special Olympics Colorado. And maybe they had some salary donated, maybe $10,000. And that's going to auto-calculate your total that you had for VIK for the year. So hopefully a very simple spreadsheet for you to fill out and send back to us. And as I mentioned, when you get done with it, you will save this in the Dropbox folder, and that part of it is new. A couple things to note. You should not, in the value in kind, you should not include funds from Special Olympics International. So if you had a Healthy Athlete Capacity Grant, you would not include that. That's just dollars that your program has spent. Do include the value in kind that your program has contributed. And if you have any questions as you go along, let us know. The next thing to note is receipts. At the top of each receipt, we are going to ask that you enter a reference number. And going back over to that Excel spreadsheet, you'll see in the budget column, each of the subcategories has a number assigned to it. So salaries is 1, benefits is 2, etc. So at the top of your receipt, write the category that it's associated with. That really helps us figure out what goes where when we're looking through your report. Receipts must be readable. They need to include the name of the vendor, the items purchased, the date, and the amount, and they get uploaded as a single PDF file. International programs, there's a couple additional things that we need from you. We need a copy of the bank statement showing how much funding you actually received to us, and that's because sometimes there are wire fees that happen that mean that your program didn't get the total budget that we had sent, and then you weren't able to spend it. So that needs to be part of the PDF that you sent to us. Also, if the receipt is not in English, please translate a couple things for us. We need you to translate the date, the name of the vendor, and the items that are purchased. And finally, we need you to convert the receipt into US dollars. And you can do that. There's a nice website called oanda.com, and I have that up for us. So if you go to oanda.com, you go to currency converter. It's going to pull down this sub-tab here and then go to the converter. It's going to open a currency converter for you. And so let's say we wanted to go from the British pound to the US dollar. Then you would pick the date. So let's say it was April 17th of 2018. On that day, one British pound was worth $1.43 in the US dollar. And so you would use that currency rate to convert your receipt into US dollars. And if you have any trouble with that, or if you have any questions, please let us know. It looks like that a question has come in the chat box. Adam or Sam, would one of you be able to read that?
Hi, Emily. Can you hear me?
I can, but we have a little echo.
Okay.
Oh, we're good now.
Okay, great. Heather from Michigan asked, what do you mean by moving up to 10%? Is that from year to year?
Yes. Okay. So you may move 10% of your overall budget within the budget. So, for example, let's say you had a total budget of $60,000. 10% of that budget would be $6,000. Let's say you had budgeted all 60 for salary, but you didn't hire your person until the second quarter of the year. So you have some unspent funds in that line, and it's less than $6,000. You could move the money from the salary line into the supply line and purchase some supplies to spend down your budget for the year. And as long as the amount that you're moving between lines is less than 10% of your full budget for the year, you don't need to put any type of request into us. However, if you are changing more than 10% of your budget, you need to submit what's called a budget redirect request to us. And that's found up on the resources webpage in the budget subcategory. It's a basic Excel spreadsheet. It just says, this is what I requested originally. Here's how I actually need to spend the funds, and a justification for why you're doing that. And that would need to come in very, very soon. We need to have that before your year-end report. If we don't have it before your year-end report, but like I said, you won't be able to move that much of your budget around, and you may need to return funds to us. Any other questions that have come in? All right, great. Well, we now have a treat for you. We have Annelies from Special Olympics Belgium, who is going to go through some of the great work that they have been doing. And as Annelies presents, if you have other questions about the budget that come up, please just let us know, and we can answer those questions. So Annelies, I'm going to unmute your line. Are you there?
Hello.
Hello. All right, we can hear you. And I'm going to make your slides go full screen here. And just let me know when you want me to advance the slide.
Okay, you can go to the next slide only.
Yes.
Okay, so hello everybody, and I'm just gonna talk about 3 different topics. So first I'm gonna talk a little bit about the partners that we have in Healthy Hearing, and a very nice event called a study day that we organized with them. Also gonna talk a little bit about a health summit that we organized last year for the first time, and how we are trying to involve high profile guests. So we can go to the next slide, Annelie. So first I want to tell you a little bit about the evolution of our partners in the Healthy Hearing discipline. So before 2016, we only had one college that was involved. That's the Achtervelde Hogeschool, and that's the hogeschool where the clinical director of Healthy Hearing and also global director Marina Willems is a lecturer. So they were already a very strong partner, and they participated with volunteers during our national games in Healthy Hearing, and they also give us some audiology equipment on a loan. But there are, in fact, in total 7 colleges and universities in Belgium that offer audiology. And she already tried to go and have meetings with the others. But because she was also involved at the Achtervelde Hogeschool, we saw that the colleges and universities were not very open to her. And then in 2016, we found a new partner with Baxter International Foundation. And because of the grant, we were able to hire an audiologist for 2 years, 3 days a week. And she was working on many different objectives in the domain of health and hearing, of which was one education of students. And because we could hire her. She could go now as a member, as a staff of Special Olympics Belgium to all those different colleges and universities. And she had a first individual meeting with them to discuss Special Olympics, to see what is in the curriculum already about intellectual disability, to discuss also a possible cooperation. And based on those meetings, we had some more individual cooperation with all 7 of them. She went to give guest lectures in 1 or 2 colleges and universities. And the person that we hired, she was also able to find enough volunteers so that during our national games, we could organize Healthy Hearing on 2 different venues. So our national games are so organized that usually we are in 2 different cities, and Healthy Athletes program is in 1 city, but because of this new cooperation, we can now do Healthy Hearing in the 2 host cities. And after those individual cooperation, also the colleges came together with us with the idea to see if we could not meet up all together once to discuss and to see if we could do something more. And they can go to the next slide. And that's actually, so we had a meeting with first all 7 colleges and universities. 6 are Dutch speaking, 1 is French, so that was a little bit a difficulty. And at the first, all 7 colleges and universities, they really wanted to participate and organize together a study day for students in audiology about intellectual disability and hearing problems. In the end, the French-speaking college, they dropped out. So we stayed over with 6 very strong partners. So it's Artevelde Hogeschool, it's Universiteit Gent, it's the Vives Hogeschool, Thomas More, that's also a college, Hoogent, it's also a college, and then KU Leuven, that's also a university. So we ended up with all 6 Dutch-speaking colleges, which made it, of course, also from a practical and logistical point of view, already a bit more easy. You can go to the next slide. And so we just organized our 2nd edition of this study day for students. So the first was at the 3rd of March in 2018, which is the same day as the World Hearing Day. So that was a nice adding to the day. And it was for 124 students. So we focused always on the last year students of audiology. For the first edition, we had not yet the intention to invite professionals, and we chose the Artevelde Hogeschool for the location for this first study day. So we made an evaluation after that day, and then we started and decided that we want to do a 2nd edition, which was a couple of weeks ago on the 2nd of March. And this time we decided, beside the students, we also wanted to invite the professionals. And I mentioned the price as well. So we asked a very fair price of €50 per person for the whole day, including catering. And actually, thanks to these payments from the professionals, we had on the same time also a budget which covered almost every cost of the study day, because the venue, it's all in value in kind via the different colleges. And as you see, we try to organize it like every edition in a different college. And yeah, you can go to the next slide. And it's in Dutch, this invitation, but I just wanted to give you a short overview of how the day is looking like. So we start always in the morning with a welcoming word of Special Olympics. We explain a little bit the organization. We explain that there's an opportunity to volunteer at our national games, which will be in May. And there's also an interview with an athlete. So that's very positive, because straight from the morning, they have a first view and a first, how you can communicate with people with intellectual disability. And then it actually starts with some theoretical courses before noon. And we try to have a lecture from each college. So each of the 6 colleges, almost all of them, they have a lecturer. And it goes from the healthy hearing program and which test you do, about prevalences, about guidelines, about also balance and hearing aids. So it's very diverse, the topics that we organize. And then there's a short break, lunch break, and then afternoon, they can actually choose themselves out of 9 different workshops. So we try to do it very practical, also try to include athletes in most of the workshops where it is possible. And then every participant can actually choose 2 workshops to attend during the afternoon. Yes, you can go to the next slide. And then, so we just had it, the study day, the 2nd edition, so we don't have the evaluation yet, but we make a very short summary to get some feedback from the students and for this year from the professionals as well. And we see actually in general that there's a very good appreciation of the study day, and that they really found it very a benefit and an addition for their curriculum. Okay, next slide. So, and then that's actually the evolution. So you see before 2016, it was only the first college, Achtervelde Hogeschool, which was involved. And now in 2019, we see that all colleges, they participate in the study day. For most of them, it's obligatory to be there. Only for the Katholieke Universiteit Leuven, so the University of Leuven, they let it free, so the students can decide themselves if they want to participate. But we saw that we had a lot of participations of them as well. So I think most of them do make the choice to participate in it. We also see that for many of those colleges and universities, they now participate at a healthy hearing screening. So also for these games, we will have a second venue of healthy hearing in the second city that we organize our games. And for some, it's again obligatory. For some, it's free of choice. And then we'll also see that for the Achtervelde Hogeschool, they also do their internship. They have the option to choose doing healthy hearing screening in institutions, for example, but that's for the moment only in the Achtervelde Hogeschool. So that's a little bit a wrap up of the study day and how we have evolved from one partner to actually 6 strong partners in the field of colleges and universities in healthy hearing. So you can go to the next slide. Then in 2012, December 2012, we also started with the organization of the Special Olympics Health Summit. It's the first time that we organize this, and it's in cooperation with RISIF INAMI. It's a Dutch and French version, but it's actually the National Institute for Health and Disability Insurance. And we had about 50, 60 attendees, of which also the CEO of the National Institute for Health and Disability Insurance. We had all our clinical directors present. We had a lot of politicians present, of whom also the adjunct cabinet chief of the Federal Minister of Health. Then from all the professional organization, we had some representative. There were companies and then some other people as well present. And you can go to the next slide. So again, invitation Dutch and French, but I'm gonna walk you through it a little bit. So the meaning was that RISIF INAMI, they wanted from us to know what is the status of health in people with intellectual disability. They told us we are too high up in our tower and we don't have a clear view of what's going on the work field. So they asked our clinical directors to explain on the one hand their viewings, and on the other hand they gave recommendations, and they gave tips on changes that could be on policy level to have better health for people with intellectual disability in Belgium. And beside that, we also had 3 videos made in which parents and their child with ID gave a testimonial on how they experience it all. And then you can go to the next slide. And then, so we ended the day with a round table in which some of our clinical directors were present. The CEO of the National Institute was there. We had the cabinet chef, and they just, it was with the moderator, and they talked very open about what are now the next steps that we should take to make sure something really changes. So they talked about prevention and awareness. They talked about that it's important to do more research on what are the barriers in Belgium to improve this health service in the healthcare. They thought about the importance of training and education for healthcare professionals and students, and that at the moment they don't see enough yet about intellectual disability and about the communication with them. They talked about more inclusive health approaches, about the need for more financial support for doctors, for health professionals, because it takes just more time to see a person with ID in your practice. So it would be nice if there's like a small additional financial support for those people who take that extra time. And they also talked about the need of interdisciplinary work between all the different medical areas. And actually now there was a meeting, a follow-up meeting already between clinical directors and the professional organizations to see how they can now further make sure that those actions that were noted can become real. And we're also talking again with the National Institute to see how they can make a change and what our role can be there as well. So you can go to the next slide. So, and that's a quote of the CEO of the National Institute, who told, like, what I learned today, it was a wake-up call and it's an urgent call for action, which was actually really nice to hear from him as well, because he was only planned to be there at the start and at the end, but he actually made his agenda free for the whole day. And I think that because of him, his presence there, the Health Summit also gained much more importance and strength. Yeah, you can go to the next slide. And then just very short, I also want to talk about how we are trying to involve politicians. And I think it's, and what the value is of involving them. So, like I said, at the Health Summit, we had the adjunct chef of the federal minister, but actually it was the minister herself who had said she wanted to come as well to the event. We also had the state secretary of people with a disability who had already confirmed to be. But unfortunately, we had some problems with the government just the weekend before. And because of that, there was a government change. So all those ministers and state secretary had other agendas that day. But they had confirmed they would come. And I think this could only be possible because throughout the year, we're really trying to network with them, to have meetings with them, to get their attention about what we are doing, and also to try to involve them in our activities, like in Healthy Community Project. We had an activity which is called Eating is a Festivity, and the state secretary, she made a point and she came to 4 out of the 6 events. We had the Flemish Minister there of Health. So we have really the support, I think, also thanks to the health community, because we could spend much more time to do this networking. And because of that, we had really a lot of attention from politicians and so on. You can go to the next slide. So that's just an example of the new state secretary of people with disability, which is also the deputy prime minister, I think, from Belgium. So he also made time to come to us to learn about Special Olympics and to learn about those people, those athletes who were involved. And then that was, I think, beginning of February. And then next to it, you see that a couple of weeks ago, it was Compliment Day. I think you translate it that way. And it was actually the minister himself that was now thanking Special Olympics. And of course, if the minister does a quote like that, that gives a lot of attention as well. And then you can go to the last slide. So it's not only the politicians that we are trying to involve. So in Belgium, there's a kingdom, and we also had already the presence of a prince at the national games, and we also invited him again to the last event of Eating is a Festivity, and that led actually to a lot of media attention for the event, but also it was a way how we could tell the press and tell Belgium again about Special Olympics, about the importance of health. And only if you press on the bottom again, it will show up. So the amount of media value we had, free media value just by sending out a press release that the prince would be there, that the state secretary would be there, which raised a lot of attention and which caused a lot of media to come to the event, and a lot of articles afterwards that were presented on our work that we do. So if you go to the next slide, just thank you for your attention, and if there are any questions, please let me know.
Wonderful, thank you. It doesn't look like there's any questions that have come in as you've been talking, but we still have a couple more minutes before the end. So if anybody has any questions, please type them in. And Annelies, just again, thank you so much for sharing your work. We've been so pleased by all the things that Special Olympics Belgium has done. I think the work that you've done at the universities is really helping to make sure the next generation of healthcare providers knows and cares about people with ID, and then the work that you're doing at the national level to engage the Ministry of Health and other big organizations to get involved and make sure that inclusion is happening in intentional ways is exactly what we want, and how we're going to be able to reach our 11 by 20 goals and that reach the tipping point for health for people with ID. So thank you so much for sharing. Just comments coming in, people saying great work, well done. I think we all really enjoyed hearing about the work that we're doing.
You're welcome.
So before we go today, just a reminder again, please, if you haven't already, send in your reapplication for next year. Start working on your year-end reports that will be due on April 15th. And we also just wanted to note that this is the last month for our programs that started in 2016. They've reached the end of their 3 years of funding, and so they will, of course, be welcome to continue to join webinars, and we'll have them continue to share and present how things are going and what life looks like after the grant. But just wanted to say a special thank you to all of the programs that started your work in 2016, and think that this is just kind of a graduation into the next step of your health work, and can't wait to see what comes next and what we can learn together. So thank you so much. And I hope everyone has a great day.